Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Quickly, before we jump into the show, I want to let you know that over on my Twitter page, @Brodes81, I am giving away a Bryce Harper jersey. There's a pinned tweet. It explains the rules. All you have to do is follow me and retweet that tweet. I do it every single Wednesday, a hump day giveaway every Wednesday. So stay engaged, stay involved, and make sure you enter to win a Bryce Harper jersey. It's a no-brainer. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. The Philadelphia 76ers go 4-2 on their road trip without Joel Embiid. And at the end of the day, no matter if the Lakers had their top stars or not, the fact that you held your head above water to the best of your ability, that's all you can really ask for. Now it's more of a dogfight with the Brooklyn Nets, and we kind of saw this coming. We knew that it would get closer and it would inch closer with the Brooklyn Nets. So for what you were dealt, for the hands that you were dealt, I think that you got to respect what the 76ers did on this West Coast swing, even though there was some ugliness in play, and the last couple of games were not the smoothest by any means when they played the Clippers and when they played the Denver Nuggets, but that's what you probably should have anticipated. The results, at least, is what you should have anticipated, even though I didn't love the effort out of someone like Ben Simmons. I thought Ben sucked. I mean, he literally sucked in this game against the Cavaliers. There's no way in hell that this team with Dean Wade, and every time that name is said by Mark Zumoff, I'm like, what? Dwayne Wade's still playing? Dwayne Wade's still out there getting buckets? But there's no way that the tall guys out there, Dean Wade, Kevin Love, these are the players that should be able to give you trouble. How can the Cavaliers really grossly make you feel the way that you do out there? And if you look at the game logs against the Cavs this year, they force Ben into this mode where he is a shell of himself. And how many times do I need to stress? And I know I started out all positive, right? The team won 4-2. The bench was great. Shake Milton was phenomenal. Seth Curry was awesome. Dwight Howard played a phenomenal role, grabbed a lot of rebounds, set some screens. Tobias got into foul trouble, but in the third quarter, he was aggressive and made a couple nice baskets. Danny Green shot the ball in that third quarter, made a couple nice baskets. So at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, we should be happy for what they did. But when Ben Simmons gives you this type of effort, it is killing me inside. You see the same major issue that doesn't happen with any other player. There's players like Furkan Korkmaz who, at least in their minds, feel they have a mismatch and he'll attack it. Now, there's not many mismatches for the positive gain of Furkan Korkmaz, but in his brain, he sees a million of them and he tries to do it. My point is, even the worst of the worst would look at a matchup that they like internally, whether it's right or wrong, whether they actually can win the matchup or not. In their brain, there's a sensor that triggers that says, I am going to destroy this matchup. Well, here you have Ben Simmons on Matthew Dellavedova, a guy who hasn't played basketball in how many years? A guy, even when he does play basketball for a significant stretch, sucks. Matthew Dellavedova is bad, and there's no way in hell that Ben Simmons should be settling for hook shots on Matthew Dellavedova. I just can't do this. I don't know how long I can do this. I don't know how long I can possibly sit here and continue to watch this garbage out of Ben Simmons. Outside of a 2-week span, Ben Simmons has been an embarrassment. It started out gross. It started out with one of the worst stretches we've seen. Then he went on the Ben Simmons run that we love so much, got into the All-Star game, and then, all right, Joel Embiid gets her, and now he is a complete loser out there. Ben Simmons is a non-factor in getting shut down by the Cleveland Cavaliers. It is terrible. He finished with what, 2 of 11? Come on. Yeah, I'm allowed to voice my frustration. I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to pick on Ben when he gives you this. There's no defending this. Don't tell me, oh, but Brodes. No! I don't know how anyone can sit here and defend the mess that Ben Simmons just put out there on the floor. Now, when Joel Embiid is out there, is it a different Ben? I don't know. Is it a different Ben or is it just a different team because Joel Embiid is playing that special right now? Because Joel Embiid is playing at an MVP rate. It makes everybody else look different. He elevates them to this wild level, the team as a whole, that Ben and his flaws are not as pointed out because Joel is on this tear of being an elite player that nobody can stop. But holy shit, Ben, how do you look yourself in the mirror at night? Because it's happening too much. Stinkers are allowed to happen. You can have an off night. You're not perfect. Nobody's a perfect human. But if we look at the entire schedule so far to this point, I would say maybe 15%, 20% of the games was good enough, Ben, for my liking. The rest have been realistically a nightmare scenario, and that is not okay with me. That gives me an unsettling feeling in my stomach, and it's unfortunate because shame on Ben. Shame on Ben Simmons to play that poorly where they win a game and guys played really well and some players have a little bit of confidence and swag right now after beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. And instead of starting the podcast out with that, I'm going down the road of Ben, come on, dude, why do you play this way? Why is this how you comprehend the sport of basketball? You got to do it differently because you're going to actually murder me. You're going to kill me. I cannot continue to watch this version of Ben Simmons. You would think with Joel Embiid not playing with him off the floor that would make him raise his game, but instead it's the complete opposite. You would think Ben would have a little bit of I don't know, heart, a little bit of will, a little bit of want to be a way better version of himself when Joel's not on the floor. Hey, let me pick up my teammates. Instead, we got to rely on Shake Milton to do that off the bench. And as much as I want to say, like, hey, maybe this can be the turning point for Shake Milton, I've done that too many times. It's related to the Flyers conversation. Oh, it's a building block game. Okay, jerk-offs. I've heard that 10 times already. You guys just suck. With Shake Milton, I'm not going to go to that level because I don't think he is Flyers hockey bad. But I feel like there's once in a while you get this type of game out of Shake, and it's like, oh, there it is. There's that version of Shake. Maybe it could be a building block game. Maybe it could be a game where he builds off this and gets back into a little bit of a groove. But reality is, I've seen this enough where it's been this, and then it's been back to the bad Shake. This, and then it's been an inconsistent Shake. You've gotten the inconsistent Shake more than you got in this. But there is something to be said about the playing off the ball. Tyrese Maxey getting the ball in his hands and him getting some limited rotation minutes again. That sort of opens the court up for Shake Milton to play off the ball. And you also, I don't like this, but sometimes Furkan Korkmaz is dribbling the basketball and trying to dribble, penetrate, and set up some offense. And I think that is a horrendous way to operate your team offensively. But my point is Shake Milton off the ball is something that has stood out to me in his 10 of 14 shooting, 5 of 7 from 3 for his 27 points, where if you factor in George Hill being that primary ball handler and giving you a lot to work with as the guy that creates the offense or that sets up the offense in the half-court set. Maybe Shake could play catch and shoot. Maybe Shake could be off the ball, and that would allow him to be in a more comfortable role where this is more what you get more so than the Shake Milton that's trying to analyze everything and trying to slow things down and trying to get this offense rolling as smoothly as possible. I think he was so focused on the other areas and not so much what makes Shake Milton, and that forces Shake to somewhat be a worse version of himself. So applying the logic of off the ball with George Hill and him running the offense, will you get more of this version of Shake than other versions of Shake? Maybe. I need to see it more, though. I need to see what it would look like, and I need to see if he continues to do that. But yes, Tyrese Maxey is getting himself back into a little bit of the rotation a bit. What does that mean? I have no idea. I think maybe this is something just to get Shake Milton going. Maybe this is something because Ben Simmons was so bad you got to go in another direction. But yeah, I also thought Dwight Howard setting screens was big for what Shake Milton was able to do and for him to get some space. Dwight was a monster on the glass, and there's not someone really in this matchup that's going to be able to handle Dwight Howard. He was a monster, just grabbing all kinds of defensive rebounds. I think he only finished with 2 offensive boards on the glass, but he puts the ball back into the basket. He finished with an explosive night for sure, and he definitely stood out to me. So did Seth Curry. Seth Curry was shooting off the bounce. Seth Curry was shooting off his screens. You need to see that being implemented. You need to see him being able to score in different layers, and he wasn't afraid. He was willing. He was shooting, and for some reason this year, there's moments where I'm kind of scratching my head. There's moments where I'm trying to sit here thinking, dude, what are you doing? There's moments where I'm going, yo, fellas, yo, pop the three. Pop the three more. Seth Curry, you're a three-point shooter. Why are you being afraid? Let it fly, my man. Let it go. You are that type of dog where you can pull up from 300 feet down the court. We don't care. You have that ability. The Sixers shot 37 threes. They averaged significantly less than that. So, and in the beginning, it was one of those 2021 NBA games where back and forth, up and down, LA Fitness 3, LA Fitness 3, LA Fitness 3, LA Fitness 3. And if you don't know what an LA Fitness is, because some people, I guess, maybe don't know what that is, that's a gym around here in the Philadelphia area that has a court, and you just go play pickup ball at LA Fitness, and you nonstop run up and down and just pop the threes. That's what it felt like they were doing. So I think that plays a role in the 37 threes. But my point, getting back to Seth, is it looked like he was just, hey, I'm going to shoot the ball. I'm going to let it fly. And he finished with a night of 7 of 15, 5 3-pointers in 10 attempts and 19 points. He was not afraid to just shoot the basketball. I feel like there's hesitation at times with Seth and sometimes with Mike Scott and sometimes with these other shooters like, yo, let it go. You know, let it feel comfortable out of your hands and shoot. To see 10 out of Seth for 19 points, he was able to do it in different ways, a different versatility involved, and I do think that that's big for what Seth Curry's role is going to be, but he's going to have to be able to get back into it a little bit. He's going to have to find himself, and he's had always a little bit of some lingering issues that maybe plays a role in his ability to shoot and maybe his mindset with it. Maybe he doesn't feel as comfortable. And I did hear a couple conspiracy theories when it comes to Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons did sit out a couple games ago. And is there a correlation between the product you're getting on the court and maybe a knee injury in the past and a knee problem, knee soreness? Maybe he's not feeling 100% and the Sixers are trying to hide things, because what would it look like if Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are both hurt at the same time, considering the narrative between this organization with these two at the center, at the top, is, hey, these guys always get injured. 1 year it's Ben, 1 year it's Embiid. 1 year it's Ben, 1 year it's Embiid. So maybe they're trying to hide it a little bit. I don't know. But there's something wrong with Ben Simmons, and I don't know how I got from Seth Curry to him. How did I get to that? Oh, yeah, because the lingering issues maybe was a reason why Seth Curry had a little bit of that down spot at times and all. But there always is something with Seth Curry, I feel. Long pause for a nice, fat sip of water that I truly, definitely, 100% needed. So Tobias Harris got into some foul trouble, and he wasn't able to play a lot in that first half, and then he made some noise there in the third quarter. The defense was insanely different, though, in the first quarter compared to the second. You allowed early on Kevin Love to knock down his shots, and you allowed the Cleveland Cavaliers to kind of hang in there with you, and it was a very close game at the half, but things definitely changed in that second half. The bench of the Sixers came alive and pretty much rode you to the victory, rode you to the promised land. Danny Green hit some three-pointers and hit some shots in that third quarter, so he helped out for sure. I thought it was big that Garland had a tough day at the office. 7 turnovers. And when you play these teams and when you see some of these players, whether it's Colin Sexton or Garland, these are the type of matchups that always get annihilated. The Sixers always get destroyed. Whoever they're going up against, whether it's Garland, Sexton, Fox, these type of guards, they go off and they'll give you 30. They'll go off and they'll give you 35, maybe even 37, maybe even 38, maybe even 40 plus. Well, to have 7 turnovers and to really struggle and not find your groove for such a long period of time, I thought that was big for the 76ers' success. And let's get to Thibault. Because Thibault, I've never seen a guy with this jump shot, with this three. It's insane. 2 air balls. He finished 1 of 4 from 3. 2 air balls where, I mean, he missed miserably. Wasn't even close. Way too far. No rhythm at all in the shot whatsoever. And then he gives you one that looks so pure and looks so good. And that's a defining situation for Matisse Thybulle. He is so all over the place. He is a wild man when it comes from three. You don't know if it's going to look like Steph Curry. You don't know if it's going to look like Dwight Howard. You don't know if it's going to look like Klay Thompson. You don't know if it's going to look like Tristan Thompson. You just never know what type of three-point look you're going to get from Matisse. And that's why when someone goes, oh, but Brodes, Matisse is better from three. He's not that bad. Matisse is so damn unreliable. Are you kidding me? Please, don't try and sell me. And please, don't be fooled yourself into thinking that Matisse Thybulle and his three-point shooting is something that you could be okay with and comfortable with right now in his career. Can things change? Of course. Can he get better? Absolutely. But as we sit here today, you see air balls galore, air balls out the ass, followed by a 3-game window of knocking down a 3 a game, or a 4-game stretch of there being 2 threes involved, but then he gives you this. It's Mr. Unreliable from 3. So no matter when he goes on a stretch of 3 games, don't tell me that's who he is. It's not who he is. He'll get better. He'll continue to work. But there's something missing in the game of Matisse Thybulle where you cannot be okay and think that, well, it's good enough to survive. It's not good enough to survive. It's going to crush you offensively. And keep in mind, Ben Simmons and Dwight Howard can never be on the floor together at the same time. They are a joke together on the floor. And to be a player like Ben Simmons and to still not be able to find out what you're going to do when someone else is on the floor like that, it's like, dude, how do you not know? How can you not work around this? How can you not just study the game, know your opponent's game? And I know spacing plays a role in this, but you would think you'd learn something by now in the lack of spacing department to help you in other areas instead of just shying away and not doing anything at all. Find a way. Get creative. Study the craft. Learn what you can do better, but you can't have them out there at all together. And I'm curious if I didn't catch any Doc Rivers quotes, so I'm just going to go to a couple of people that I normally go to after the game to get some quotes just to see if anything stood out. Doc Rivers said here he thinks Shake Milton's play is the ebb and flow of the league. Milton has learned to trust himself when things aren't going well, which has allowed for him to bounce back. All right, so giving Shake Milton a little praise on just what it takes. Anything else from Doc Rivers? The emphasis was for the Sixers to show Sexton and Garland 5 guys and wall off the paint. Said the team switching was excellent. Yeah, that second half, I mentioned Garland having some troubles. That was definitely a standout key of the game when the game was over was, wow, Garland did not have the type of performance that we see some of these guards have against this team specifically. So you saw that out of this defense. And real quickly, I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but it was a long day for me. So I'm currently uploading a Phillies opening day podcast as we speak. So while we're doing the Sixers podcast afterwards, I am going to upload the Phillies pod and make it go live. So thank you for staying with me as I did that. All right, back to the basketball. Korkmaz, in his last 4 games, 6 of 24, 25% from the field, 18% from the 3. I'm just saying, I haven't heard much of that Furkan Korkmaz love in quite some time. I haven't heard that Furkan Korkmaz life in quite some time, and that's because he's been a little bit of a quiet shooter. He's going through what I tell you he is. He has those regular season games against the Washington Wizards, Chicago Bulls, and then he goes through nights where he is a complete disaster. He can't find his shot. He's lost. He doesn't deserve any playing time. And I'll only hear from the Furkan Korkmaz support group when it gets super great, but not when it gets bad. All right, why don't I let you know about my friends over at DraftKings? Let me just pull up the read here. I have it on my phone. I was not able to print it out. 68 teams started the tournament. Only the best have survived. Now you have the Final Four. UCLA. Michigan loses to UCLA. Gonzaga It's going to be a great Final Four. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $1 on any tournament game, and if your team wins, you cash out $100. If college basketball is not for you, DraftKings Sportsbook offers daily odds boost on pro basketball, hockey, golf, and so much more. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code BRODES when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 if your college basketball team of your choosing wins. That's code BRODES to turn $1 into $100 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, why don't we throw it on over to the Anytime Hotline to hear from you?
It was a good win by the Sixers. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really mean all that much. Ben Simmons still kind of had a bad performance. Seth Curry caught fire. Shake Milton did some nice things, and Tyrese Maxey seems to have gotten over that rookie wall. Dwight Howard continues to be a contributor. I just want to know what your thoughts are on Joel Embiid returning earlier than some expected are. And, just very excited about that. I can't wait to see him with fans. I'm just happy that he's going to return. Yes, I tuned out a little bit for the Sixers.
Wow, so no Joel Embiid has brought you to the point where you somewhat even checked out on the team. Well, that's the type of impact a player like that has. But for me, I'm still locked in every single night, of course, and I think I can maybe hear that in your tone of, yeah, Shake did some nice things out there. No, Shake was pretty special tonight. Shake was a dog tonight. That was probably one of the best versions of Shake Milton I have seen in quite some time. 10 of 14, 5 of 7 from 3 for his 27 points. Shake Milton was very phenomenal in this basketball game. So more than just did some nice things out there. And him playing, if Joel Embiid plays on Saturday, it would be probably quicker than I would have anticipated. I was thinking worst case scenario, and there's no way that he's back in the shortest amount of time possible. And we'll see. We'll see what type of impact has happened to him with the bone bruise, what type of fatigue is going to be there, if his body fatigue and his body language is going to still be upright. Is he going to be hunched over, leaning on his legs? And there's only one way to get back to what you need to be. So Joel Embiid, if he does look tired, it's somewhat reasonable. It's somewhat expected. The guy hasn't played real NBA action in quite some time, no matter what he's doing off the game court and what's he doing behind closed doors. Nothing is like actually playing, so I wonder how that is. I wonder just from the discomfort level, because those bone bruises could be a bitch. Those bone bruises can be painful, but you can play through it and nothing can get worse because it's a big bruise on you. So is he going to be able to have that same level of impact? But yeah, I'm with you. I'm excited to see him in front of the crowd. There's a big difference in the Wells Fargo Center with and without him. When it's just Ben Simmons specifically playing the way that we've been getting out of Ben Simmons, the environment is completely different. And I remember the last game I was at, which was the night the NBA closed down. I was covering the Sixers for 97.3 ESPN at the time, and he had one of those monster performances against, I think it was the Detroit Pistons, or maybe that wasn't the last game I was at, because I remember a Hawks game too, but maybe that was just how phenomenal he was. It was both of those games. Maybe I'm combining the two together. There's so many games that they all mesh at some point, but regardless, the point is, when Joel is on a Joel type of night, and when Joel is a monster and he's giving you the 30-plus and grabbing you the 17, 18 rebounds, and even if it's not that much and it's more like 12 rebounds, but he gives you 37 on the other side, it is crazy, the atmosphere in that building. And I'm excited to see him back on the floor. And I'm excited to get a little bit more knowledge of this team. You can only put so much stock into these games without Joel. The team changes so much with and without him. The offense runs differently. People play different positions. I mean, it is nuts. Night and day difference with Joel Embiid on the court. So while I'm proud that they go 4-2 without him on a road trip, it could have been way worse. It's hard to really apply this version without Joel to the version with Joel because it changes everything that you run.
Brodes, what a day in Philly sports. The Sixers with an amazing win. And now the Sixers. I love it. I love it. And Embiid is back tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, on Saturday.
A little all over the place. So I think the caller, if I heard that correctly and I'm assessing that correctly, I think the caller meant the Phillies. What a good day in Philly sports. The Phillies won and the Sixers won. You're right. Yeah, you got the old double shebang. The only thing we're missing was a nice Philadelphia Flyers win on the triple header, which I think we have on Saturday. I think on Saturday you got a 1 o'clock Flyers, 4 o'clock Phillies, 8 o'clock Sixers. If I remember that correctly off the top of my head, so maybe you get the old triple header W. So you hear my voice get a little nervous there because I said triple header winners, as if the Flyers would actually have to win a hockey game and not look like one of the worst organizations in the history of the entire sport ever. It seems, out of the first two callers, the expectation and the anticipation for Joel Embiid is at an all-time high. I feel that I do. I guess after this win, though, I'm not there yet. Maybe tomorrow I'll think about Saturday's game. Maybe on Saturday I'll be thinking about the excitement of Joel Embiid. But after this win, I'm still in digestion mode. I'm still in that mode where I'm trying to comprehend what exactly went down in this game. You know, what did I see out of some of these players? Seth Curry, can we get more out of him? Because Danny Green has been on fire. Danny Green has been a special player for you as of late. He's been drilling threes. He's had confidence. He's been giving it for you on the defensive side, too. He had a tough matchup against Denver where Michael Porter Jr. and the Nuggets got off early in that first quarter. Danny Green had some mishaps involved. The whole team did, though, to be fair. There was bad team defense, too. And speaking of team defense, I did see a couple possessions of Shake Milton with some team defense and trying to help in the wrong situations, allowing some open guys and all. But maybe that could be tweaked out. Maybe that could be worked out. And he's going to have limited amount of minutes in the postseason anyway, especially with George Hill taking over that six-man role, unless George Hill is in the starting rotation kind of guy and somebody else gets pushed. Maybe a Seth Curry gets pushed to the bench. But who knows? We'll see how that all shapes up, and that's a discussion for another day. But Danny Green has been fuego. He's been killing it. Is it possible that Seth Curry can kind of earn his way back into that lethal weapon category? He's very all over the place right now, very all over the map. Extreme highs, some lows, just kind of here and there. And that's why I did say let's kind of put the expectations down a bit in the beginning of the season, because my man was shooting 62% from three, and I tried telling people that, yes, Seth Curry's good, but you traded Josh Richardson for him. There's a reason why the Dallas Mavericks got rid of him. You don't just get rid of a 62% shooter, and he was 45% at the time, which is still magnificent, and he still is shooting in that 40 range, so he still is, like, he still gives you a good three-point shooting. Let's look exactly where he's at this point for the Philadelphia Sixers. He is shooting 42% from three, so I knew it was still in that area, but there is this high highs, low lows involved, and my point is, with the shooters, with Danny Green and Seth Curry, the combination of the two, I know every night isn't going to be both of their nights, but Danny Green has stepped up and elevated to a more consistent level. Still has some weaker moments and some weaker times, like I mentioned, against Denver and all, but in a window, when you look at it through a window, in a recent window, it's been there more times than it hasn't. I just need to see it more there from Seth Curry than it has been. I need to see more of a push in a consistency style.
Hey, Brodes, great win tonight. Obviously, anytime you can pull off a 20-plus point game against a road team, that's awesome. Bench played awesome. I'm super excited about that. One thing I'm a little pissed off about is Ben Simmons. I mean, he just flat out didn't play well. 2 for 10, 5 points. It's like he didn't even want to be here, and that's the second straight night I felt like that.
It's been a problem. Since Joel Embiid has been out, there has been this Joel Embiid-less version of Ben Simmons that has been killing me inside. And I just don't know how, when that happens, you turtle, right? You put a shell on your back and you become a shell of yourself. This is where it should be the opposite. And I can't stand this, because I saw this a lot tonight. Well, at least Ben Simmons aggressive. I'll give him credit to that. I'll give him some props for that. I'll be excited for that. At least he stayed aggressive. He wasn't able to finish, and he had some hideous takes, and he was really miserable 2 feet from the basket, and he couldn't really find himself, and he couldn't get comfortable, and his touch was off tonight. but I'll at least give him credit for being aggressive. I'm over that. I am over that with Ben. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever. Maybe we can have that conversation. Dude, I'm done with that. We should be way past this. At least he went to the basket. Wait. We are now okay with saying at least Ben Simmons, whose strongest attribute is going to the basket, at least Ben Simmons went to the basket. Garbage. Doesn't feel like playing. Not engaged. There has to be something wrong. There has to be something wrong that they're hiding. Because this isn't okay. This isn't allowed. This is not something that you should accept if you're the coaching staff, if you're part of this team. Yo, dude, really? We need you more than ever. We need you to be that guy. You have to be able to step up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's going to have tough nights against other opponents that are stronger and at the top of the Western Conference. Whether you'd like to hear that or not, that is a reality of the situation. But what isn't true is it should happen against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Something that I didn't touch on early on in this game, though, that I don't know why this randomly just stood out to me on my notes, but it did. It's crazy how poorly they were shooting in this game, but they were staying involved and actually had the lead by a nice little margin just because of their second chance opportunities. They were taking so many more field goal attempts. So it wasn't like they were delivering and actually knocking down their shots at ease early in the game and all, but they just got this second chance effort, and they got those second chance opportunities. They were working hard. They were hustling. And at that time, I was trying to balance, okay, am I upset that they're in this situation? Or am I pleased that they're in this situation? Or am I somewhere in the middle? And while I wasn't thrilled with their effort defensively and all, there is something to be said about getting those second chance opportunities, getting those rebounds, getting the ball back, making sure you can get another field goal, keep taking more field goals than the other team. If you do that, you're going to have success. So that's what you're supposed to do against a team like the Cavs that you should not be involved with. You should be outworking them to get second chance points. And each game has its own different personality. So while I would like for every game to be a breeze and an ease when they're playing some trash team, that's not always the case. And the fact that they were earning those second chance shots, it's like, all right, I can acknowledge that that means you're outworking them. And that's what you need to do. It might not be your best shooting night. It might not be your most efficient night. But at least you're outworking your opponent by making sure that, hey, if I don't make that bucket, we are getting the next look. We are taking the next field goal. And that is something that I did admire throughout the grind of this game.
Whoa, that's how you get it done against the corny Cavaliers. That's how you get it done. Good solid win. I was happy with everyone performance. Even though the rest was picking on Tobias for these bad calls. I wasn't that happy with Ben Simmons. What is he doing? He can't finish at the rim now? It's not like he's shooting jumpers. No way he should be shooting 2 of 12.
I saw 2 of 11. I heard someone else mention 2 of 10. I saw 2 of 11 afterwards. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that was atrocious out of Ben, and that's why in the beginning of the call, my eyebrows went up a little bit because all I heard was, I was pretty much satisfied with everyone's game tonight. I'm like, did you watch Ben Simmons? Hello? Did you witness Ben Simmons? Did you see it? Did you open up the eyeballs? Because Ben Simmons was pathetic. I don't even know if pathetic is the best way to describe that performance, but it really does hurt the soul. The soul is on another level of disappointment due to what we've seen out of Ben Simmons. And if it changes when Joel Embiid is on the floor, maybe that's something. But when you notice that he can't play with Dwight and you have to go in another area, maybe you throw Shake out there and this and that, and you move things around, it's a nightmare with him with the lack of spacing. And Joel Embiid and his flaws has clearly been something. Joel Embiid has clearly helped make up for those brutal flaws of Ben Simmons, maybe to a level that we haven't recognized until we see this style of Ben. Until we see Ben without Joel, we don't really comprehend the power of Joel Embiid. So if anything, this is more of an appreciation to the big man for what he's able to do and where he was able to take this team to this point. So with that being said, Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.